One of my family members is now identifying as a different species, and I have no idea what to do. We're going to react to this and your other voicemails and horror stories in this Voicemail Friday episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast, my daily show where we take on internet insanity, media craziness, and political madness, all from an independent perspective. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and welcome to another Voicemail Friday episode of the show where I take your voice notes and voicemails and react to your stories, offer advice. The link, if you are interested to send one of those in, is as always in the description. Up first, we're going to hear from somebody who genuinely has a family member now identifying as an animal. Nope, it's not just a meme anymore. This was kind of always the natural progression of things, unfortunately, in my view at least. And now it's time to see where this is going.
Hi, Brad. I'm going to stay anonymous for this one, but I have an extended family member who a while back came out to me as trans species, saying that in addition to human, they were another animal as well. And this person is an adult, like not like straight out of high school, but like a genuine, fully formed adult. And I am feeling like my best move is to just accept it and move on and say, you know what? If this is how they cope with the world, let them cope with the world that way. It's not my place to stop their coping mechanism, but it also feels different than a coping mechanism like meditation or prayer or exercise. There's a lot of other coping mechanisms out there, and I just don't know what my place is here.
So, my friend, thank you for the voicemail. And sorry about your predicament. You seem sweet, and frankly, a little sweeter than me, because you're like, oh, I should just respect this person and accept them as a coping mechanism. No, it's a pass for me. I mean, it's a hard no from me. I would not acknowledge somebody else pretending to be a different species. Delulu is not a Salulu, as I frequently say, and I'm not sure you're really helping somebody by just totally enabling their delusions and confusion in this kind of way. And I guess it also depends how close you are with this person, right? Because you said it's an extended family member. And sometimes with extended family members, we're really close to them, but sometimes we're really not that close and we see them twice a year, like Thanksgiving and Christmas or whatever. And in that scenario, I would suggest that you just avoid it, right? Like, no need to cause a conflict, but do not, I mean, certainly don't actively affirm them as a giraffe or whatever the heck they are identifying as. But if you just see them occasionally and it's a distant relative, then you can probably get away with just like not really discussing it or not having to affirm it. You can just be polite and avoid it. That's probably what I would do, because I think that if you're really encountering somebody who is identifying as a different species, not even as a meme, but like actually thinks they're part elephant or whatever, they're probably a little bit beyond reaching unless you have a close relationship with them. And I guess that's the other scenario. And if this is a cousin who you grew up with or somebody with whom you have a close relationship, they are important to you and you are important to them, then what I would recommend is that you take them aside, you sit down with them and you say, listen, I love you and I care about you and I have your best interest at heart, right? And then you'd say, well, I just want to talk to you about this thing you told us about how you're identifying as a different species. I want to tell you, I can't, you are a free person. You are an adult in this world. You are free to say whatever you want about yourself, feel about however you want about yourself. I don't feel that I can participate in that because I think it is a fact that you are human. I do not think you are anything other than that. And I don't feel comfortable participating in kind of a fiction otherwise. So I am happy to talk about it more with you. I'm happy to not talk about it and just agree to disagree and kind of put it over here and continue our relationship. But I wanted to be transparent with you about how I'm feeling about this. And so we could talk it through together, because I do love you and I do care about you. And hopefully they could go somewhere from that. So I think that's my advice to you, my friend. It really depends on the intimacy of the relationship in the extended family members. But no, this is not like prayer. It's not like meditation. It's Delulu. And Delulu is not a Salulu. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. How would you handle this in your family? I'm genuinely quite curious. Would love to hear from you guys. Make sure to subscribe to the like button, yada, yada, yada. And if you want to send in your own voicemail, the links, as always, in the description. Okay, up next, we're going to hear from somebody else who was betrayed by their trans identifying ex best friend. Let's take a listen.
Hey Brad, this is Olivia. I'm 19 and my best friend from preschool transitioned at 15, which doesn't have much to do with the story other than to tell you the political beliefs of the person, I suppose. But we stopped being friends over a year ago, completely unrelated to politics. He basically just blamed all of his problems on me. Anyways, I never shared my political beliefs with him because obviously it would not be welcome, but I also didn't care much until the most recent election. But anyways, I ended up posting a bit of a tribute to Charlie Kirk because I was sick of being silent, especially when there were so many people that I literally knew posting in celebration, which is like disgusting, right? I had
Yep.
to block so many people. Also, this was my first political post ever. I'm like kind of outing myself, right? Because I live in LA, so like two people agree with me. And I posted on my notes quoting Charlie Kirk saying, "When discourse ends, violence begins," which is like, how dare I? And either someone said it to my ex best friend or he's just creeping on my page because we don't even follow each other. But he posts a screenshot of my note on his story and says, "This is going on the public story because I need everyone to lock in all at once, please." Like, what? I was so confused. Like, what was the goal? Would you like me murdered as well? Like, if the goal was to expose me, like, I literally have a significant amount of more followers than you. So I'm exposing myself more than you're exposing me. So I just don't understand the point. I had a feeling he just wanted to get a reaction out of me, or like maybe he missed me or something. But that's why I just completely ignored it. I blocked him and didn't say anything to him. Love.
Oh my gosh. I love you. You're my new favorite. I just send me a voicemail every week with the tea, and I'll just sip my coffee and I'll be like, oh my God, he said what? Slay. Joking aside, you really didn't do anything wrong. And guys, I would be so real with y'all. I would be 100 with you. If you send me a voicemail and I'm listening and I'm like, wait, you might be the problem. Like you might be the Delulu. I will tell y'all that because I believe in tough love. But this is not one of those cases. Okay, that's not in the room with us at the moment. You did nothing wrong. You just said it's bad to murder people because they have a different idea than you or because they say words that upset some other people, which just makes you sane. Like, this is my common theme to you guys. You're not the crazy one, okay? And anybody who feels the need to put you on blast for such an anodyne, milk toast, common sense take, you are 1000% better off with that person not in your life. So it's real simple to me what you got to do with this friend. Block, mute, delete, and then you know what? They can post whatever they want about you to their stories, and you just don't look, ignore it, move on, make friends that aren't crazy. And I know you live in LA, but the take that like it's wrong to murder people, I think still most people in LA might agree with you. And the ones that don't, you really don't want to be around because it's not like you can't be friends with libs or Democrats. Of course you can, but if they can't agree that it's wrong to murder Charlie Kirk for just because he has views they find offensive, then that means they really would be okay with you being murdered, and you don't deserve friends who would be okay with you being murdered, right? Like that. How do I even have to say that? What in the 2025 is going on where I even feel compelled to say that out loud as a sentence? But anyway, you get my point. And you might be surprised. Low key, there's more people in LA who might not actually be lived out. You might be surprised. So maybe try to connect with some more of them. And regardless, just make friends who aren't crazy and just ignore the crazies and leave them in your past. But I do love the tea. So thank you for the voicemail. Thank you for the dramatic reading. Oh, I really enjoyed that. And guys, if you want to send in a voicemail, remember the link is in the description. Up next, we are going to hear from somebody again who Gosh, just y'all have the craziest experiences sometimes. Let's listen to this next person who was, shocker, baselessly accused of being racist.
Hey Brad, it's Marie. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of these in the wake of Charlie Kirk, but I've got my own woke horror story. I made a post on Instagram after the assassination, starting with the phrase, whether you agree with Charlie Kirk or not. It's important to note that I'm very moderate. And I just proceeded to condemn political violence and encourage everyone I know to continue to have conversations across the aisle and really hear people out. And one of my friends I've known for years, she's actually my neighbor as well, reached out to me to say she could not believe that I would make a post like that I am complicit and tolerant of violence against minority communities, and that she was really disappointed in me. And I asked her if she'd ever watched Charlie Kirk, and she said she's watched one video. So I sent her a video debunking all of these lies going around about Charlie Kirk and his views, and she said she refuses to watch it because it'll be too triggering for her, and then accused me of not wanting to have a conversation and told me she has no choice but to assume that I am racist and bigoted. So that's my story. Thanks, Brad. Have a great week.
Oh my gosh. Y'all, how are these people real? I know they exist, but how do they actually exist? It will never cease to amaze me how obnoxious some people are. Imagine that, like, believing all these things about someone based on one video, then someone sends you other evidence, you're like, I can't watch that. It's triggering. So then you just have an unfalsifiable belief system, right? You've assumed something as true and then can't be convinced otherwise because you won't literally even consume the evidence or arguments against it. That's like a cult-like belief at that point. That's not a rational position. However, I almost wish you had gone about it a little bit differently, though. Let me explain. I think litigating Charlie Kirk's beliefs with these people is a mistake because, I mean, Charlie was a controversial figure. I've been very outspoken against what happened to him, and it does not matter. But he said edgy things. He had a trollish element to him at times. And with anybody, regardless, who spent thousands of hours on camera and on microphone, you're going to be able to find a couple sound bites that age poorly or sound horrible out of context. And so litigating, no, he's not bad. He didn't mean that when he said that. To me, that almost feels like a lost endeavor or a fruitless endeavor when it comes to reasoning with these woke people. You're not going to convince them that he wasn't problematic, right? Okay. They think freaking Aunt Jemima is problematic. All right. Like, so a better thing, I think, is to focus on the original message of your post, which is just that it's wrong and un-American to kill people for their ideas or words. And if somebody, this neighbor, this friend, can't agree with that, I mean, that's on them. You are not the crazy one. You're not the problem there. Like, then you're not the bad guy. They are. And it's hard because relationships are complicated and people are multidimensional. So just because someone has delusional politics or has a victim mindset doesn't mean they're an unambiguously bad person. Doesn't mean they can't be a positive part of your life. But I think you should just explain your position to this person. Say, this is my belief. You can respect it or you cannot. That's up to you. And then if they choose to cut you off or remove themselves, then that speaks to them, not you. You've stood on business for what's right and what's ethical and moral, and they've thrown a pissy fit and called you names and made a bunch of unfair assumptions about you. At the end of the day, you can't control what other people think or say about you. You can just control what you actually are and what you do. And in that case, you will have done nothing wrong. And if she chooses to, I think it's a she here, cut you off or remove herself from your life, then like the trash takes itself out sometimes, babe. That's all I got to say. You can hopefully make some new friends that aren't crazy obsessed with seeing victimhood everywhere and low-key supportive of political terrorism, because she doesn't sound like a fun hang. I'll just say that. Like, she doesn't exactly sound like a fun girl to get brunch with. I don't know. That's just my take, at least. You guys feel free to chime in on this situation in the comments. down below. Now we're going to hear from somebody up north in Canada about a insane, like genuinely unhinged experience they had in school. Let's listen.
Hi, this is a story from my high school in Canada. I'm 17, um, and I just finished our first read through of the school play. The drama teacher started talking about Donald Trump. The topic just changed there naturally, and Charlie Kirk. Then the teacher said how she had to apologize to her class because she let out a little dance when she learned Charlie Kirk was being assassinated at that moment. She
Oh?
danced at his death. And yeah, then they started talking about how happy they were that Donald Trump was dying. The teacher actually said he should be dead. And then for a solid minute, there were cheers at the death of Charlie Kirk. 35 kids and a teacher cheering as I just sat there trying not to break down in tears or laughter or disbelief, anything, as people who I had trusted started laughing, like cheering and whistling at death of political opponents. Yeah, thanks for listening. Have a great day. Hope this doesn't ruin it. Bye.
No, thank you for the voicemail. Much appreciated. And I'm really sorry you had to go through that. My first thought is that you should talk to your parents about this, assuming you haven't already. Maybe they're more on the conservative side. Maybe they're not, but they're just sane and they don't want this kind of thing going on in your school, but they should really, I don't know exactly how the system of Canadian governance works, but like here we would have a school board, right? And a local school board that's elected, and you can go present this at one of their meetings and demand some sort of accountability. You should do whatever process you can to file some sort of complaint against this teacher, because this is really inappropriate. This is not even the situation that's more nuanced, I think, which is when you have a teacher maybe on their personal Facebook page writing something distasteful. This is them in the classroom celebrating terrorism. That is unacceptable. And then encouraging students to be okay with murder. That is a wild and flagrant abuse of your position, of your authority as a teacher, all done on the taxpayer dime. So I really think you should file many complaints. You should also contact some form of conservative media in Canada. Maybe it's the post-millennial, Rebel News. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with the Canadian ecosystem. And let them know about this situation, because if you could draw some sort of national political spotlight or even regional political spotlight to it, that might help you get accountability. And it's probably possible for you to stay anonymous while doing that as well. So I would really encourage you, but rest assured, I would encourage you to take some action to try to do something to push back on this. Hopefully your parents could help you out, because you shouldn't have to shoulder that burden, as just a student. But rest assured, even if you decide not to take action, I understand it's not easy, it's daunting, and sounds like you're in an environment where they're the majority. But just because you're in that kind of a bubble, I want to make sure that you don't, even for a second, think that you are the crazy one. You are not the crazy one, okay? Just because a lot of people around you hold a certain opinion doesn't mean that that's actually a majority opinion, or that most people think like that. Like there's such a thing as an echo chamber or a bubble. And it sounds like you're in one where people are kind of deranged. I've been in them before, but rest assured that you are not the crazy one. They are. And you have some basic common decency and sense, and they have let, I don't know, ideology, partisanship, tribalism rot their brains into mush and bring them to a hateful and dark place. But whatever you do, don't fall guilty. Don't fall into the same kind of thinking in reverse, because it's not good for your soul, really, to be so dark and consumed by hatred that you're worshiping death or celebrating murder. That's a bleak place to be. So in another sense, you should also have pity for these people, because it's kind of sad that that's where they are in their lives and in their thinking, that they're in such a dark and hopeless place themselves, that they're celebrating the death of someone else. That's pitiful, but you're not the crazy one. And I really encourage you to, maybe through one of the venues that I suggested, maybe through something else your parents might be able to help with, take some sort of action against this. Because I do think we have a a duty as common sense, decent people to stand up for basic decency and what's right in our communities when we see something wrong. And what you've described is beyond wrong. It is incomprehensibly inappropriate and evil. That's my thought. You guys feel free to weigh in on what you think in the comments below. Next, we are going to hear from somebody who encountered a non-binary teacher, because that's a thing that we have now. And that's just wonderful. Let's listen.
Hey Brad, I firstly just wanted to say I absolutely love your videos. I have been watching you relentlessly in 2025. You helped me realize I was way more center than I thought I was, so I'm solidly center left leaning these days. Anyway, this is in response to the normal gaze video you and Clarkson made regarding non-binary teachers. I myself am a teacher. I'm not going to say what country because this accent may or may not be fake, and I can't really give away my opinions because when you work in the education sector, you can't really give away like political opinions because it can't reflect the government and the public school system. It's crazy. Anyway, I work with a non-binary teacher. I work in a high school in a low socioeconomic area, and their long address is Mrs. because they fought really hard to get married to their wife. Their short address is Sir, and obviously they go by they, them pronouns. It's really hard for them to get very religious kids in their class. I mean, we work in a public school, so it's not about religion, but it's hard for them to get the religious kids in class because they don't believe in non-binary. As well as this teacher being very outspoken about gender and pronouns. They even got the words male and female removed from the staff bathrooms, but the students' bathrooms still have boys and girls on them. Anyway, it's a lot. I thought you want to hear about it. Bye.
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm happy to hear about it because I wish it wasn't happening so I didn't have to hear about it, but I'm glad to know, I guess, if it is happening. I'd rather know than not know. And I just think it's crazy because this person doesn't even make sense. Mrs., Sir, and they, them. It's like, pick a struggle, babe. Pick a struggle. I can't keep up, and neither can these kids. And you are using your position of authority to promote ideological agendas and nonsense. Non-binary is an ideology. It is a political belief system. It's not some like, oh, just like black people existing. It's not comparable to that. Gay people existing. It's not comparable to that. You are teaching children a certain set of ideas about human sex and gender ideology that is very controversial. I would argue is actually kind of regressive. And really, I think you should be totally free to call yourself whatever you please, live however you want in your own life. I don't really think you should be allowed to push that on kids in schools, really at all. And maybe that makes me some sort of bigot-ism. I don't really care at this point because I'm just going to say what I think and what is right. And I think that is a load of nonsense. And yeah, I'm not sure there's a whole lot you can do about it if you're in a kind of depends on the political and cultural atmosphere or just temperature of the discourse where you are, because you didn't mention what country or what part of the world, but it's not right. And people should push back on it when it happens in their communities. I don't know. But I'm sorry that that's happening. Hopefully you can just be a good role model for your students and offer them a saner alternative. And maybe enough people will just opt out of that person's class that the administrators will realize like, hey, there's a problem here. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's the solution. You guys, let me know what you all think in the comments. Okay, one last note here that we're going to wrap up. This is from somebody who identifies as trans and is more on the conservative side, but has still had some negative experiences. Let's listen.
Okay, so hi Brad. I wanted to put in this insane story. So for context, I am an almost 17-year-old trans girl, like transsexual, whatever. I am extremely conservative, and for a couple of years I went to this like Catholic Christian private school, and I was doing an online like academy basically. And there were some kids who absolutely hated my guts so much. They made a group chat called the KKK of, and it was my dead name. And basically, there was about like 60 members from my really big school in it. And they were just like my biggest haters. So that just goes to show you that no matter how conservative you are, even if you're trans or whatever, like people will always be out to hate. And yeah, you just have to live your life for you.
Wow. I'm really sorry you happened. Kids can be such jerks. It's just like, it's just bullying. Bullying is never okay. Trans, not trans, conservative, liberal. It shouldn't really matter. It's wrong. Hopefully you reported that to your school and you told your parents about it. It's not okay for your classmates to treat you like that, no matter how they feel about gender or any of these issues or beliefs. Bullying is bullying, and it's not okay. I would maybe just say like don't really view it as a reflection of you. It's just them being dumb and immature and mushy brained, and a lot of them will probably look back in a few years' time and be embarrassed about that. But it's not about you; it's about them, I guess. And yeah, it sounds like you're in a strong place because you can't control what the world thinks of you. Like there are thousands of people out there who hate my guts, right? Because of my political views, because of my commentary, because of my work, who think that I'm like a cancer on society everywhere. Like seriously. And if you let what other people think define you, that is a recipe for lifelong unhappiness. You have to be strong in your sense of self. You have to know who you are, what you stand for, and be proud of it and okay with it. And then let the people think whatever they want to think. Let them say whatever they want to say. If you can be a rock in and of yourself, and that's really hard to do for anybody at 17 years old, okay? I certainly didn't have it then, but that's where you can strive to. And it sounds like you're already kind of in that place. But yeah, it doesn't matter if you're conservative or not. The bullying is not okay. I'm really sorry that happened to you. It's not acceptable. And I think everybody should just remember, no matter our disagreements, no matter what different beliefs we may have about these issues, we should always try to be kind to each other. And this world is just a dark place these days in a lot of ways. And I'm really sorry that happened to you. Stay strong and keep on working on forming just a strong sense of yourself and knowing who you are, what you believe in, and don't let the world get you down. That's my advice, at least. But thank you all so much. That'll be it for this episode of the Brad versus Everyone podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't yet. Hit the like button, yada, yada, yada. And with that, guys, we'll talk again real soon.